So yesterday we discussed about interfaces, right? Interfaces are nothing but contracts. Contracts, which define what the implementation should do. They don't say how to do that. They just say what to do. It's a contract. And the advantage of that is you can switch the implementations, right? So the example that we saw yesterday was this shape demo, right? Wherein I was able to change the shape. Instead of changing the reference, just by changing the shape, changing the object, I was able to get different output, right? So that's the advantage of an interface, wherein you are coding against a contract. Shape is a contract, and the circle and rectangle are implementations for that. Today, let's continue and we'll discuss about something called abstract. Okay? So, have you heard about this word called abstract? I'm not talking about any programming language and all. General terms, while speaking or while reading, have you heard about this word called abstract? No, you all have written GRE and all, right? So have you not read abstract? Let's see what Google has to say, right? So when I go search the word abstract, so abstract is something which is a thought, or an idea, right? Or to be more specific, something which is not physical or concrete, right? So that means something which is not complete, right? An idea or a thought is something in your mind, something which is not clear. You have, we say I have an idea, right? That means you have some basic understanding of it, something which is not concrete or complete, right? So that is known as abstract. Abstract is something which is not complete, something which is half, something like that, right? So now we understand what an abstract is. Let me ask you a question. Is a interface abstract? What do you guys think? Is an interface complete or is it abstract? Again, as I said, I want this to be very, very interactive. Please make sure you answer the question. Don't just sit idle. So again, let me reiterate. So I said abstract is something that is not complete, right? Now let's try to answer this question. Is the interface abstract? So the question is the interface complete? Is the interface concrete or not? So let's check. Let's check this. Let's check the shape interface. Now here, if you see, I have declared methods, but I did not provide a implementation for that methods, right? That means this method is abstract. This method is not complete, right? Generally, if you declare a method, you declare the method definition and provide implementation for that, something like this. But in an interface, you don't provide a method body. You provide a method definition, right? So the answer is, by default, an interface is abstract. Okay. So in Java, there is a word called abstract. So you mark something as abstract if it is not complete. Like for example, I can say this method as abstract, public abstract. Right? The word abstract indicates that this method is not complete. That means it does not provide a implementation. By default, every method in an interface is public abstract. So even if you don't specify something like this, the compiler will automatically internally, when you create a .class file, it will make this change. Okay. So by default, every method in an interface is public abstract. Again, this is an interview question. By default, every method in an interface is public abstract. Okay. Does it make sense? Why is a method abstract? Why is an interface method abstract? Does it make sense now? Okay. So now let's discuss more about abstract. So now we said an interface is abstract. An interface is abstract. Okay, so we all agree with that. Now, can a class be abstract? What do you guys think? Can a class be abstract? So I'm getting multiple answers here. People are not sure. Maybe not, or something like that. So let's try to answer. Let's try to see whether a class can be abstract. Okay. So I'll give you a situation. I'll give you a small example wherein so the same get area and get perimeter. I have a kind of a shape. I have a shape known as triangle. You all know what triangles are, right? So I have two types of triangles. One is a right angle triangle and the second one is the equilateral triangle. End of the day, these are shapes, triangle and right angle. Now since it is a shape, it has to provide methods for get area and get perimeter. So the way to calculate the area, the way to calculate the perimeter is sum of three sides: side A, side B, side C. So that's the common formula to calculate the perimeter of right angle triangle and also equilateral triangle. Okay. Now what about area? So area is something that is different for each triangle. For an equilateral triangle, where all sides are equal, the area is the length. Whatever is the length, that's the area. Okay. Whereas in a right angle triangle, the area is multiplication of two sides and divided by 2. Right. So that's the area of a right angle triangle. You don't have to understand the math, but what I am trying to say is these two have a common way of calculating area, a common way of calculating a perimeter and a different way of calculating area. Okay. Likewise, for an equilateral triangle, all it needs is one input, right, which is the length. If you provide a length, the length of all three sides are equal. They are one and the same. Whereas for a right angle triangle, you need to provide two sides, right? So the input is different. And the way you calculate the sides is also different, right? So for a right angle triangle, the third side is a combination of a certain formula. So we'll not go more into detail. So one way to implement the get area is something like this. Let's give me 1 second, or the get perimeter. Just let me make this change. Just changing this, so just give me 1 second. Okay, so I have a right angle triangle which is a shape, and I have a equilateral triangle which is a shape, right? So let me make a small change here. Now instead of creating a circle, I'll say new equilateral triangle. And I need to provide some size here. So I'll say my equilateral triangle is of size 10. When I run, I get my shape of the triangle. And if I change this to right angle triangle, I need to provide 2 inputs here, okay, which is well and good. So I get different output, right? So it's all working. It's all working as we saw yesterday. We all understand this approach. Now, what is the problem? One problem with this is, if you see, these both are a type of triangle, and they are duplicating this method, the get perimeter method. If you see, the logic is sum of 3 sides, A plus B plus C. Here also the logic is the same. So generally you should not duplicate the logic. It is treated as a very, very bad practice. Right? You should move this to a common place which can be utilized by both the triangles. Right? You should not duplicate anything. You should write code once and reuse the code. So to fix that, what do we do? As I said, you need to move this code to a common place where these two can access. Okay, so I'll make a small change. What I'll do is I'll create a class called triangle. Okay, I'll create a class called triangle. Wait 1 second. I'll create a class called triangle, and I'm saying my triangle implements something called shape. Okay, and here I'll say my right angle triangle, instead of implementing shape, I'll say I will extends triangle. Okay, so I'm extending from a superclass. Now my superclass will contain the method get perimeter. So I'll cut this method from here. I'll cut this method from here, and I will paste it here. So my triangle has a method called get perimeter. Likewise, just 1 second. I'll do the same thing for equilateral triangle also. So I'll say extends triangle. Okay, and here I'll remove the get perimeter. So if you see, I did not duplicate my code. Right, both these classes are extending from the superclass, the parent, and the parent contains the get perimeter method. Is it clear so far? Are you guys with me? Did you guys understand what I did? What was the problem, and what change did I do? And please do not make me repeat this. I want everyone to answer this question. I know it's kind of late for you, but I need your attention. So please be interactive. So far there are only 1 or 2 people responding to that, so I can just finish the topic and close off. But I really want you guys to understand. Any questions, please feel free to stop me. Shall we proceed further, or shall we stop? Okay, so that way we kind of eliminated the the duplicate code, right? Now we said we have a class called triangle. Forget about this compilation errors for now, right? And now here my triangle has no way to identify what the sides are, right? We said it's a superclass, but the superclass needs information, needs these three information. Without these three information, it cannot calculate the perimeter, right? So that means my triangle is abstract. Do you guys agree with me? My triangle has only half of the information. Right now it knows that you're asking it to calculate the perimeter, but it has no clue of the sides. Moreover, the triangle does not know how to calculate area. Right? That means it is not fulfilling this contract of the shape. Right? Do you guys see the problem there? A class, if it's implementing an interface, it has to implement the methods, right? It has to implement the methods in the interface. But here what we did, the superclass triangle is implementing the shape. And we said, since both the triangles have a common method, common way of calculating the perimeter, we'll move that to the superclass. So that way we eliminated code duplicacy. But now this adds new challenge. The challenge is the triangle has only half of the information. It doesn't know how to calculate the area, first of all. So that means this triangle is not complete. That means it is abstract. Do you guys agree with me? Right? So if a class is unable to fulfill a contract, then you need to mark that class as something called abstract. Right? A class can also be an abstract. And if you can see here in this case, it is saying that triangle, hey, I don't know how to calculate the shape. And the interface shape is I don't know how to calculate the area. But the interface shape is forcing me to implement the getArea method. Now since I don't know, I will mark myself as abstract. Right? So in Java, anything that is not complete can be marked as abstract, whether it can be a class or an interface by default. Okay, so this answers our question here. Can a class be abstract? Yes. If a class is not implementing all the methods, just give me 1 second, guys. Hello. Hey guys, just give me like 2 minutes. I have someone at the door. I would open the door. Just give me 2 minutes. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So if a class is not implementing all the methods of an interface, then it should be marked as abstract. So that answers the question, right? So now the next question is, can a class declare abstract methods? Just like an interface, can a class declare additional methods? What do you guys think? Any guesses? Can a class declare additional methods? Okay, so let's see. Now since anyways we marked this class as abstract, right? We said this class is not complete. Let's try to declare additional abstract methods. I can declare additional abstract methods in a class, provided you mark the class also as abstract. Okay, so a class can declare additional abstract methods. So if you can see here, I don't have any compilation errors. I've declared methods called get A, get B, and get C. And I'm saying that these methods are abstract. Okay, so now you might be wondering, what are we trying to do? So probably you will get an answer for this. What is the difference between interface and abstract class? What is the difference between an interface and abstract class? If you can answer this question, you'll be able to understand what I just did, or what we're trying to do here. Any guesses? What is the difference between interface and abstract class? I'll take a minute break here. Take a look at this class and see, you'll find the answer. Okay, so there's only one person who gave the answer, and yeah, okay, very good. You guys are right. So the main difference between an interface and abstract class is abstract class can have methods with body, whereas an interface can only declare or define methods. Okay, so this is the core difference between an abstract class and an interface. If you can, if you understand this concept, whatever we discussed so far, it all makes sense now, right? So now in our case, we said this particular triangle class, superclass of right angle triangle and equilateral triangle. It implements a shape interface and it knows how to calculate the perimeter, but it does not know how to calculate the area. So we mark it as abstract, first and foremost. Now in order for it to calculate the perimeter, the abstract class needs to know side, what is the length of the side A, what is the length of side B, and length of side C, right? So it declared additional abstract methods, get A, get B, and get C, which the subclasses needs to provide the implementation. So if you go to the right angle triangle, which is a class or subclass of triangle, if I don't declare these methods, I'll get a compilation error. It says the right angle triangle must implement the inherited abstract method triangle.getC, triangle.getB, right? And now when I am able to run this particular example with the same output. Okay, so that is the advantage of an abstract class. An abstract class can declare additional abstract methods and also provide implementations for that, and also provide method implementations. Okay, is it clear what is an abstract class? Everyone, any questions here? Please feel free to ask. And you can expect one interview question on this, at least one. Okay, good. No questions. Very good. Now let's see what's the next topic. Okay, next topic is something called data types. Right? We all have been using few of the data types. So data types are variables which actually hold data in Java. Right? For example, if you want to represent a bunch of characters, you will use something called string. If I want to represent a number, I will use something called int. Int represents a number, right? If you want to represent a decimal, I will use something called float, right? So likewise, there are a few more data types. Like example, if I want to represent a character, the data type to use is char. So here I have listed out a couple of data types in this particular table here. And this is the sequence in which, if you can see, this is the sequence in which they are ordered in terms of size. So the word byte, if you want to represent a byte, single byte, it accepts, the size is 8 bits. Likewise, you have short, which is 16 bits, and char, which is 16 bits. Integer, which is a number, it occupies 32 bits. Long, which is also an integer, right? But the difference between long and integer is long accepts 64 bits. So it accepts more numbers compared to an integer. Likewise, if you want to represent decimal values, you will use something called a float. A float accepts 32 bits. And if you want more than 32 bits, there's something called double. Double accepts 64 bits. And you don't have to remember all these things. I have highlighted the ones that are most frequently used. So you will use mostly int, long, and double. Okay. Apart from this, there is another data type called Boolean. Okay. Have you heard about this word, Boolean? A Boolean is like a switch. Right? A switch can have only two values, whether it is on or whether it's off, right? So a Boolean can have only two values. It can be either true or false. Okay, so these are the four very important data types that are used frequently. Okay, we'll continue more on data types and their default values tomorrow. Okay, let's stop for today. I don't want to continue any further. I don't want to discuss arrays today. Let's continue further on this topic tomorrow. Meanwhile, today, make sure you understand the concept of arrays. Okay, we'll continue on the next topic tomorrow. Any questions before we stop for today? Okay then, thanks everyone. Let's continue tomorrow. Please make sure you practice this, whatever we discussed. Okay. Thank you everyone. Let's continue tomorrow again. Bye.